to go.
Yep. Well, we're now going live on YouTube. Look, that's what I'm doing.
Your side of the world's going to be really hot tonight, so.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I'm already knowing we got incredible subject here tonight.
Yes.
Starting already?
Yes, we are starting. Yes, we are starting. Welcome. It's another night here at Change Your Mind, Change Your Thinking, CMCT. We are definitely in store for a great one tonight. Antonio is going to be leading the charge mostly on this one. I'll be backing him up in regards to the information and what we'll be talking about as far as our topic is concerned. My name is Troy Skinner. I am a host and
Antonio Dean,
co-host. And it's been a great weekend so far. Moving into the new week, we are looking forward to bigger and better things happening. Rest in peace, Angela Lansbury. And there's also a couple other people who had passed on from the entertainment industry. So rest in peace to those people. Rest in peace to anybody who has lost somebody this week and over the weekend. Anyway, tonight's topic is going to be amazing. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you have our calling number. It's 404-997-2188. Again, that's 404-997-2188. Instagram, you can hit us up at CMCT_show. I'm not using my Darkon 2000 because we're wanting to make sure that it doesn't cut off at the last minute after the 1 hour mark. So tonight, we're changing what our routine is regards to streaming on Instagram through the Darkon 2000.
Yes.
So tonight is CMCT_show. Facebook CMCT show. Again, Facebook CMCT show, and YouTube CMCT_show. CMCT_show. If you haven't had a chance to check out some of our old shows, we've posted them, our shows from last week and the previous and past weeks that we've had. Hello, welcome, Janessa. Thank you.
Oh, YouTube.
Hi. Yes, welcome. Welcome. If you're interested in donating to the show, you can check the link tree. But you can also hit us up on our link trees and donate to us through Venmo and Cash App. We are greatly appreciative of anything that you send our way. Also, show topics, you can hit us up and send some stuff our way in regards to information on show topics and ideas you may have for future shows. Tonight, and like I said, I'm going to be turning this over to Antonio in a second. We are going to be talking about a very, very powerful topic. Some of you may know about this type of information and some of you may not, but you've heard it being tossed around in different conversations, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. But Antonio was telling me, he's like, I want to talk about the reset.
The global reset.
The global reset. And so with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Well, first of all, guys, I would love to give a shout out to my cousin Marquise because he and I talk hours on end for years because we're kind of like brothers, really. And one of the really good conversations that we had was, what were humans doing at the point that God, or whichever you choose to call it, but I'm gonna pull this more so directly from the Bible. At the point that it was time for the reset and there had to be a flood, we don't know how many times the world has been reset, but scientifically speaking, it's been multiple times. There's been many different ages here on planet Earth, and each time was a global reset. So what was it that humans were doing at that point that there was the need for a global reset? So we sat and we looked, and I believe that the last global reset, whether we say that was in the Bible or not, whatever the forces were, humans were doing something that caused this planet to have to reset. The last reset was, it's either 12,000 years ago or 22,000 years ago, which is, I believe, the Ice Age. if I remember correctly. If not, somebody look it up. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what were we doing, and how close are we to the next reset based on what's going on in the world today?
Well, good questions. Good questions. If you're watching, you're definitely interested in joining in with our conversation. We definitely welcome you.
And I'll post the premise in the and pin it.
Janessa says she was a king with many concubines. Yeah, that's what started the reset, Janessa. You caused it.
Put it to a stop.
Yeah, it had to be put to a stop. You had to be paused. um,
God damn it.
when we talk about resetting, when we talk about the past, the present, and the future, so I guess a lot of what I'm going to be posing tonight is going to be questions to you in regards to your information and understanding your research and your studies in regards to the resets. Um, Aldous Huxley, I'm not sure if a lot of you out there know who he is, was someone in the 50s who had got interviewed by Mike Wallace, CBS. And his whole thing was he wrote books and had a lot of information in regards to the Brave New World. And he was basically talking about the global reset and oligarchy and oligarchs and who's in charge of that stuff. There were always groups of people in regards to the current day of that's pushing the reset. And what are your thoughts on that? Because a lot of people were saying that the current reset, not for us to jump around, but the current reset is based on these oligarchs and these people who are in position of power. Okay, what are your thoughts about that? Because I think a lot of people can relate with that at this point, and then we can just go back and get the whole idea of the other stuff.
Well, let's define the actual reset first.
Okay, yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's important.
absolutely. Let's get that down.
Yeah.
Definition of the reset.
When I say reset, in the Bible, right, the 40 days, 40 nights, and leading up to that was, what was it, 3 things? It was like the plague. What was the other shit? I don't fucking remember.
It depends. It depends on if you're talking about Noah's reset was just no. If you talk about the basically the Egyptians leaving. I'm sorry, the Hebrews leaving Egypt.
Right.
Then it was plagues. It was 10 plagues that had set up in order for them to exodus out of Egypt.
Right.
So yeah, and that was based on the relationship that Moses had with God, and God causing
his wrath.
His wrath against Egypt. So yeah, there was locusts, there was drought, there were frogs, there were cattle, all of those different things that happened, famine, horrible things that happened.
That was him. What all were humans into? How far did it go?
Right. Well, at that time, when the Hebrews were under the rule of Egypt, it was slavery. It wasn't chattel slavery like how we had the African Americans.
It was more so indentured.
It was more so indentured. It was actually the curse that God put on Hebrew to be in slavery. He wanted that to happen for them to understand their relationship with him, which I know a lot of people would look at that and go, man, that's horrible that God would enslave his own people.
But it's like a timeout with your parents. It's about the same. But into that, what were they doing that niggas in Egypt got put on timeout?
Well, it was a thing of them being ungodly. And what that means is when you say ungodly, because to be godly means to have benevolence, in my opinion. That sense of love, and because love is a many tiered thing. It's not just one thing. It's not just, hey, whatever you do is okay. Love is, love is conditional. We talk about that because a lot of people believe that love is unconditional, but it's not, because love is sacrifice. And they were not respecting the idea of what the relationship was with the Hebrew people, because they were in Egypt for a long time, the Hebrew people, and Joseph was one of the people who kept Egypt and the Hebrews connected in a sense. You know, he was placed in power under the Pharaoh. Um, but I think in order to answer your question, basically what was happening in Egypt was this thing of um, kind of like what's going on today, where you see people in power abusing their power. People in power um, not recognizing that they are people who have a responsibility for the smaller man, for the people who are the ones that make things actually move. You know, Egypt was known for that because they were very powerful. They were one of the big dynasties of that time. And so they didn't have the respect for the fellow man. They didn't have that like I said, that benevolence of knowing, okay, look, even if this is indentured servitude, there's a basic decency that you have to have towards your fellow man. And I think that was one of the main things, the gluttony and the greed of, okay, yeah, we're just going to do more and more and more and more. That goes back to Nimrod, and the oligarchs of that era of Babylon, and you know,
Idol worship.
idol worship, idol worship, perversion. You know, I mean, you think about what Pharaoh did to the Hebrews. He killed the firstborn of every one of the families, the males, firstborn.
So this is the reason why I asked that question.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the answer.
Okay.
That answer is very important
Okay.
because now we can make the comparison. And again, so let's finish out the before I even dig into that. But if that is what caused one of this world's resets, and when I say resets, I mean in like everything gets turned on its head.
Yes.
Everybody has to restart completely.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Whether that be through natural disasters, a complete system flips, and you know, new figureheads taking the reins in different places in the world. This is what makes it important. The answer to that question, the answer to the last question, important. What were humans doing that were so bad that there was a reset? What all are we doing today that is as bad or nearing being as bad as what was going on at that time?
I mean, there's a phrase in the Bible where Christ says, "As the days of Noah, you will know that that's when things are happening. That's when things will change over." So what is your thought on that? Because I'd like to get your idea of what you feel, that what are we doing that's bad as that time? Because it sounds like you're looking for specifics.
No, not even specifics. So the reason why I asked the question about for our time is so that we can then move on into figuring out how close are we to the next reset. That's why I asked that question. There's no conjecture here.
Right.
I'm not digging or you know, trying to bait anybody into
No,
anything.
yeah, no,
I want to get our minds moving on. If another global reset were to happen, how close are we to that?
Yeah, wow, that's interesting.
Based on the general or the globally accepted human behavior today.
Yeah, I like I said, man, I base it on the lack of love. I mean, that's what I'm seeing personally in the world. And I think during that time when the Hebrews were exodus out of, it was part prophetic. It was part of what had to happen. They were waiting to be able to be delivered. But I don't think that that's the mindset of most people nowadays. So in that respect, it's like, how bad is it? You know, no one, well, I mean, not in this country. It's people in other countries that are slaves, right? Literal slaves. Here in this country, we don't have that, but
We have attack on innocence in this country.
and that's what I was exactly about to say. And that goes back to that whole thing of the lack of love, because love is kind, and love is understanding, and love is generous, and love is patient, all that stuff. And I don't see that anymore.
Love is very upside down. And I'm going to keep using that phrase here tonight, upside down, because we're building towards something there as well.
Yeah.
But it's very upside down in that who is it that we're showing love to
Mm.
today?
Mm.
This all-inclusive mindset, I believe, is extremely dangerous to humankind as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
One example, and I believe this was the first time I had seen this, 2014 sometime. They're marketing child sex dolls
Mm.
for child molesters.
Mm.
And that's now a thing. They can go out and buy
Mm-hmm.
these dolls. They're very particular companies, but
Mm-hmm.
this was becoming a big thing. This was in the
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't think that's corrective. I think that's leaving room for full acceptance of that
Yeah.
sort of behavior.
Yeah,
And that's why I
yeah.
said there's an attack on innocence.
Yeah, I agree, and you're right because Aldous Huxley did talk about that in his papers and in his writings about transhumanism and um, how we have that disconnect from the morality sense. It's funny you say that because today I was watching a movie trailer called Megan,
Okay.
and it's kind of like a female version of Child's Play Chucky.
Okay.
You know, it's this.
I heard about that.
Have you? Oh,
I heard about it. I didn't
well,
see it, but
well,
I read.
this is the thing that stuck out to me, and if we can pull it up, eventually we'll pull it up
Yeah.
and show. But Megan, it's she's an android supposedly, right?
Okay.
And they put this android. It's obvious like what they basically did um, was they put this they put it's just called Megan. It's Megan, just
Is it MEA
Megan
or
trailer.
MEG?
I'm not sure. Hopefully I got that correct. Just write Megan horror film, and it probably the trailer would pop up.
This is Bing we're using. So
Yeah, yeah. He hates Big. But it was I watched the trailer and then there it goes. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Uh-huh.
You
And
want to
so
pull up the trailer, or do you just want to read
look at that. You see that? You see look how
Yeah, that's
you see,
crazy.
you see now the thing that got me, okay, because Chucky was a doll. This character is almost like the size and the age of a
Humanoid.
10 to 12. Bro, you have to see how this girl's moving in this trailer. Because she's doing these dances and everything. And it was so odd to me. So you're talking about that. I'm like, man, boy, are you on the point with it. Because when you watch the trailer, the dancing that she does is like these sexy types of dances. You know, but look how odd. I mean, it almost looks human. You know, it almost looks human. Need a new one. Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, my bad, everybody.
No,
who's on
no.
YouTube.
It's once you go there and then you go to. It looks like a grown girl, and when you look at this video, this thing, man, I was like, oh, this is creepy as hell. You
No, this is
know?
very strange.
Yeah, it's very creepy, but it really adds to what you're saying. It really adds to what you're talking about in regards to what you're saying about because this doll is obviously killing people, you know, like how it is in horror films, right? She's obviously killing people, but at the same time, you know,
Now, was it the same kind of? I've seen one like Child's Play movie, I think, when I was a kid, but was it the same kind of perversion?
no, it's different. It's different because that's kind of what I want you to see because, you know, And this video actually is different than the one that I saw because you see her dancing and everything. I mean, she's dancing in this video and stuff. She's dancing, and the way she's moving, it's very sexual. Very sexual.
Oh, the official trailer.
Yeah, these are these are
God
not
damn
the
it.
ones. Let's see the ones that
Tell
came
us
out
Bing's
today.
fault.
Yeah, you're right. Bing is horrible. And I agree with you. From now on, we're just gonna do Google. But you know, when you see this, it's like the way she moved is what made me, you know, from when you was showing it.
Because
you know.
they're including the human what is the word? Temptation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Human sex sells. So of course, why not add it to
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, to a doll? Whether the doll is a killer or not, but for the doll to be a child.
Yeah.
And then now the doll is also sexual. The doll is also a murderer.
Yeah.
And so forth.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that really complicates our relationship with innocence.
Yeah. And
in this world.
it's funny you say that because that anytime God did reset, it was because of the innocence. Now, how can we compare that to the oligarchy and the oligarchs of today, like the ones who are moving the reset, the global reset? You know, they meet every year, these people, and they have the objective of, you know, depopulation, and you know, we know that they're hoping for something big to happen in order to push their reset through, right?
Right.
Okay, so with that respect, you know, the loss of innocence, is that something that we fell into ourselves as human beings, or you know,
was it a plan of some sort? Or
Yeah.
was it systematic? I mean,
yeah. What do you think?
I mean, I believe that that's actually the point of any major government, any sort of system. There's a reason why it's designed. Rarely are they designed with no ulterior motives, no sense of control. What would be the point of the system?
Right.
You know, so I believe that's why we live under these things. So if that's the main purpose, of course this was, you know, they wiggled this in essentially. You know, this had to have been included in a way, and I'm not talking about the movie, so we don't sound, you know, I'm not talking no conspiracy shit, but
This is what I was talking about. You see that?
yeah,
And
they got her doing some
yeah,
modern.
it's actually worse. It's actually worse. Like here, you see.
Hey, you lost your parents. Welcome.
Oh, that's because it's on there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do everything I can
My bad, y'all. Just making it so we could fully see it.
to make this place feel like home.
Just wish I could see them again.
I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't even take care of my own plants. I have this project at work. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy that would protect a kid from ever feeling lonely or sad. This is Megan.
I'm Megan. I'm Katie. It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out? Okay.
She jumped back like she was supposed to, like, you know.
Is to protect Katie from
Lack of discernment.
Yeah.
physical and emotional. Is that a doll? Model 3 generative. Android. Megan, for short.
I can't believe you made this. I love it.
It's actually interesting.
Great job.
But I know that that's going to change here pretty abruptly, I'm assuming.
Emotional
Nah.
connections that are too hard to untangle. She's the happiest she's been since her
You know, when you said innocence, it made me think of it automatically.
Force child with vegetables.
You know,
They'll be less likely to choose those
that loss of
Because
innocence.
that's what they're giving right now.
Yeah.
Megan, turn on.
Well, like I said, the thing that stuck out to me the most
conversation.
is towards the end of this trailer, you see her movement, and I was just like, what in the, you know?
Stop! Don't! You should probably run.
You know, all they did was put an actual human in,
Yeah,
in these
you know.
android-looking, you know, mask and body, but
I won't let anything harm you.
You know what I'm saying? She did try to turn her off.
Yeah. See how she's moving? That was the thing. See that? That was the thing. I
Oh,
was
this is-
right. Look at that. You see?
I won't let anything harm you
Nail gun.
ever again.
Okay.
And that's what
So-
people don't get. They don't get when you see this stuff how damaging that is.
To the common psyche.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's just coming in or maybe came in halfway, the reason why we mention that is because I was speaking to one of the major things that we believe, or at least that I believe, has contributed to, you know, what could potentially lead to the next global reset is the attack on innocence, you know, and it's worldwide, you know. This is not like a phenomenon in the United States. It actually is worldwide. The reason why we got into talking about the movie and just kind of giving it a once over is I remember in 2014, and this was in the news. You know, they're making child sex dolls for child molesters as an attempt of, I guess, remediation of some sort, or you know, whatever it is that's supposed to contribute to. Why not? And I'm a firm believer of this. I really don't care what anybody thinks about it, but I don't think the child molesters who are like active serial, you know, I don't believe they deserve a second chance.
Yeah, I'm the same.
That's
I'm the
an
same.
attack on absolute innocence. You know, children are already deprogrammed from what their natural state is and reprogrammed as they grow up and end up dealing with this world the same way that we're all dealing with it, you know, as adults. I don't think it's fair to do that. You know, so when they're creating some sort of safe haven or place for these kind of people to run to, what are we really saying?
Yeah.
What are we saying?
Yeah.
You know, how is that not some form of child pornography, which is a federal offense damn near everywhere in the world? You know, so really, what are the intentions there, and where is that coming from, and how does that affect all humans globally? Because it does matter.
Yeah. Nomadic Nobody just checked in. What's your you're in other countries right now. What are you seeing in other foreign cultures in regards to? Because we're talking about the Great Reset, and I know you know a lot about that stuff. He really is deep into it. So, what are you seeing in other countries that is contributing to the lack of innocence and the loss of innocence, other than the sex slavery and the abductions of people who are taking people and making them into slaves and stuff in other cultures and other countries.
I'm sending you the topic so you can pin it on your side.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned that. I saw that video today.
I think that's one of the biggest contributors, man. And then not to mention, you know, I don't want to just breeze past it, but you know, the next big thing I would say is this whole trans. I don't care what adults do, but making it a part of children's curriculum in grade school. I think that's insane.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's nobody's business. That has nothing to do with identity. You know, all of these different things. At the end of the day, we're bringing a certain sense of sexuality into a classroom with children, and that has nothing to do with learning the basics of life, you know, and figuring out how to survive in this world. So what really is it that these effects are having? And the reason why we're asking these questions, again, for anybody who's just tuning in, how close are we to the next global reset based on whatever it is that humans are doing today? How bad were they? How bad, you know, what sins were humans committing at one point that all of these different global resets have happened, and how close are we to committing or you know, facing the same demise?
Yeah, and if you have any comments, please join in with us, because this is a very serious topic and it's very enlightening. Some of the stuff that we're talking about tonight. you know, that goes to the divine tranny, or the divine trans, in a sense, which is, you know,
The goat.
yes, the great goat.
Which is why I said I would continuously be mentioning the upside down.
Yeah. Which, you know, is something that's even mentioned in that, and that's this here for you guys who are watching. Some of you may have seen this before. And you may know what that is. It's called the Baphomet or the Baphomet. And if you see, it's a Luciferian worship creature, where it's, you know, head of the goat, the chest and the breast of a woman, and then the body of a man, and is as above, so below. You've heard people say that, as above, so below, and you actually see coagula. These all of this has a big meaning to those who worship the Baphomet and
100%.
believe in it. And you can just see the different statues.
Right, and then you know the what the hell is the word? Not symbology. Symbolism. I was gonna say symbology, but symbolism. You know, we're talking about the 5-point star, and which is David's. Or no, David's star is 6, but you know, 5-point star, the star upside down, is just another depiction of, you know, these things. And again, I'm not saying what people should or should not do. It's none of my business. I'm just posing the question, you know, to open the floor up to
Conversation.
what is it that happened? Are we looking at a world where we could be, you know, the next, you know, our generation could be next to witness it? You know, how much further is it gonna go between interrupting a child's innocence, stealing a child's innocence, redirecting it, and, you know, we're talking about in schools and cartoons and you know, children's toys and books and all of these different things. Why is the focus on changing the mind of the child? That's why I say it's an attack on innocence. I think that's that could definitely be a major factor into, you know, we wake up one day and we walk into the next ice age or something. You know what I'm saying? So,
What do you think will happen? Real quick, Nomadic Nobody said complacency. Slavery is big here in Cambodia. Not speaking up against what goes against your moral code. The global reset is in play. We have to speak up, especially in America. It can be stopped. Do you honestly think it can be stopped? I don't think it can be
the
stopped.
same way, I don't think that we could change something as small as our culture in particular communities. How much work that takes. The entire world?
Yeah, no.
Who has that kind of scope?
Look, people lined up and actually, and they talk about it using, you know, it goes back to the dollar bill, order out of chaos, right? You know, and so people actually want certain things to happen that is in conjunction with their plans of the Great Reset. You know, so the fact that everybody lined up to receive something, we can't really say it because we'll get shadow banned, but lined up to receive something in the past 2 years that they obviously now at the end of it realized wasn't really needed.
That or the follow-ups.
Yeah, all the follow-ups. And people lined up for it, and it just shows you how people fall into line. And that's part of how that works, right?
Because people psychologically need to be told what to do for the most part. That's a majority of us. That doesn't mean that you're one of the world's followers, but a majority of humans are looking for somewhere to be told to go. You know, tap it and then you can pin it. The big one. I fucked up and made it too. My bad. Pin. Yep. But yeah, so you know, when this is that's the type of climate that we're dealing with, which that's a global climate. Again, this is a global thing. I'm not looking to speak to any of the outliers and people who happen to be the exception to any of these things. We're talking about all of us collectively. Collectively, humans follow. Not everyone is a leader. A majority of people in this world will never be leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is the baseline, how is it that we can stop this? How is it that we can intervene on that? I don't think there's a way.
Nomadic Nobody said people are speaking up. It's just not being televised. Sri Lanka is speaking up. Iran is speaking up.
There are places in Africa as well.
Yeah, European countries were speaking up during the pandemic in Canada too. Yeah, I remember seeing, and we talk about normal news like
Yeah.
we don't even watch that. But I remember seeing footage of people protesting consistently. And those countries are used to protesting because they're not as comfortable as we are here in the States. My one of my good friends, Michael McDonald, sends me videos all the time of different things in regards to how, because he's in Canada, how Canada is constantly fighting with Trudeau, constantly disagreeing with him, and how they're pushing so many different things. Aldous Huxley said once that it would be because once they started the United Nations and after the first the major Second World War, they started, what was it, the Union. It was a basically union, and then it became the United Nations, and then now that's going to move into something else.
Is it evolving?
It's evolving, and so with that being said, what do we have to look out for other than just the loss of innocence and the loss of love, as I would say? But you said the loss of innocence, which to me
I think that, so to that, I think that next stage would be now we're talking about the convenience of technology. And what is that doing to humans?
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are supposed to follow a purpose and give back, not only to society, but to the planet
Mm-hmm.
in some form or another,
Mm-hmm.
right? Life is so convenient right now without doing absolutely anything other than picking up my phone. I could order dinner for me, you, and Eric,
Mm-hmm.
and I can get me, you, and Eric rides home
Mm-hmm.
free. Not free, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we never really had to lift a finger.
Mm-hmm.
No
No
moment's
struggle.
notice.
Mm-hmm.
No
real
struggle, no actual effort, nothing exhausted other than this is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a good thing for humans.
Yeah. I agree.
Look what happens to dogs once they're domesticated.
Mm-hmm.
They lose the ability to hunt.
Mm-hmm. Gain weight, become something else. Yeah, people have made them.
They die
something
a lot
else.
faster.
Yeah. So, what do you think people have to look out for? Because
It's the acceptance of these types of conveniences and luxuries. Like I believe it might have been the last show, but we're talking about even how the children don't know how to go to the library and research to do the homework that they're doing.
Yeah.
They got sites like Spark Notes and all of that, which, again, I'm not telling anybody what to do. If that's what you're doing, do your thing. Oh, man, I had 2 requests. I didn't know that, but, of course, sure that they can do those things, but in the long run, and we're talking about an entire generation of children globally, for the most part, this is what they have access to. And now they don't want to read.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many young children you interact with, but I teach martial arts to a lot of kids, and I got a lot of nieces and nephews as well, but most of them can't write well.
Yeah, we'll see some tomorrow because we're going to that event.
Yeah. They can't even write.
Yeah.
To write their name down.
Yeah.
So we have to look out for these things and start not necessarily,
You mean in our own community?
Yeah,
first,
and what you can immediately contribute to, but if it's a global issue that we all have to understand that we got to do a little bit of work.
Mm-hmm.
If the goal is to somewhat reverse this,
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely answer that here in a second.
Nomadic Nobody said George Orwell thought force would be used to make us slaves.
Great book. By the way.
Yes, 1984.
Couple books, yeah.
Uh-huh. And Aldous thought it would be comfort and technology that you would tune in that would turn us into slavery.
Too lazy to get
That
up
would
and
lure
put
us
on your
into
own
slavery.
clothes.
Yes, he's right. So we have to be weary of the laws we allow to pass, lest laws equal more freedom. More freedom equals more personal responsibility.
And I'm glad you said that because there's another thing I wanted to bring up.
Okay,
We'll get to that.
Okay,
Yeah, no, go ahead.
See, now, the problem becomes this. People think they truly have, this is my opinion, people think they truly have freedom or they truly have power by the people that they elect into office. See, I don't agree with
They
that.
don't know that it's already there.
It's already
You
there.
already
Yeah,
have it.
because of the oligarchy. I believe that those in charge put people in charge in order, they're buffers or
It's representative. Those are called representative governments.
Yes.
Or representative institutions.
Yes.
We get to point at somebody, but that motherfucker's not even the one making all the decisions.
Yeah, they're puppets.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think honestly, I think, I'm not going to sit here and speak revolution, but I think that's the only thing that would make sense, in my opinion. So the laws that are passed, I mean, do people have some form of power where there are laws, some of them passed? I mean, look at what just went down in Los Angeles, and we'll talk about that, where you have that whole city, group of people just talking about different cultures that don't agree with what they believe in, and how that affects us.
And same as what just happened out in Illinois.
Mm-hmm,
You know, that they're not even arresting people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they used to have something called the I bond, and there are different types of bonds there.
Mm-hmm.
But now they basically just, well, don't do that. You know, maybe here's a court date. Please don't do it again, and then they can fucking go.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
That's insane.
You know, so I'll touch on that what I was talking about there in a moment. But we have a question over here. It says, do you think that the U.S. is the head of the snake? And do you think the end will be sparked because of the darkness that exists in this country? And that question came from viewer free_DELIS. Delis, I'm assuming.
Good one. What do you think? I mean, I have my answer.
I don't think that the U.S. is the head of anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's we know about the 6 families. There's more than that, but we'll say 6.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6 families and their influence over the world, and the access that they're afforded to different strings that are pulled.
Mm-hmm.
Are most of them here? I don't know. I don't know where all of them are at.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's mostly the U.S.? No, I think that the U.S. is kind of how we were just speaking to what a representative government is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
These different countries that we see as the superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're just representatives
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for whoever or whatever it is that is
Right.
the actual
Oligarchs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There are 3 phases of what the Christian faith believes in regards to the end times, and we talk about Revelations. And mind you, a lot of people say, "Oh, Revelations is hard to understand." No, it's just it's a lot of colorful language, and there's a point when you take things as fact and you take things as metaphor. It's not confusing. You just have to understand that common thread, and if you follow the common thread, it's not hard. So don't fall into the trap that a lot of people fall into with these people who claim they have all the answers, because no one does, right? They just have an opinion, and the Bible is very strict on what it believes and what it preaches. So you can be an amillennialist, you could be a millennialist, or you can be a premillennialist. But pre means that the 1,000-year, it's before the 1,000 years, and the means after, and then or post means after, and the millennials means we're going through it now. So I'm a millennialist, if there's such a phrase. I believe that the rapture is yet to happen, that what we're talking about in regards to the Great Reset, which would be that movement of what that happens. The Antichrist is not yet on the scene, and but things are moving towards that. Some people actually believe that, with the disease of what just happened in the past 2 years is proof.
It's a part of it.
It's a part of it. No, I think it's going to get worse before.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to get worse. But so to that, right? Because now I want to kind of start bringing it full circle as we're approaching the first hour. To what he was saying about freedom.
Yes.
Right. So we talked about, and this is just one example. According to science, there have been multiple global resets on the planet itself, where civilizations had to completely restart. And not just different communities or different states, different parts of the earth. globally. We're talking about after, an ice age and such. So in the Bible, free will is a thing. That's something that we're afforded from either God or the universe, whatever it is that you believe in. Oh man, choice is religious. I'm not religious. So I'm making sure that we're keeping a balanced line here between both sides,
Absolutely.
so that we can all understand each other without stepping on each other's toes.
Absolutely.
And so we're not crossing beliefs or
Yeah.
looking to hurt one another
Not at all.
verbally. So I'm gonna borrow from the Bible. Free will is something that we're afforded, right? From either God or the universe, whatever that is for you. I personally am of the opinion that free will is actually a damnation. It's a warning, right? Because that free will did not come without
It's repercussions.
structure.
Okay.
There are certain things that you should not do. And we talk about common sense here in this world, first world, right? Or world one, which is our dimension, to be clear to everyone. So our dimension, we talk about common sense. I think it's common sense not to touch children. I think it's common sense not to violate anyone's person without permission, right? Those are things that are common sense. But free will, to some, dictates that they don't have to have a first mind. They just have to, whatever it is that they want, they can go after. So do you think that free will is actually a damnation? Because those 10 plagues were brought about, right? Indentured servitude on my Egyptian brothers and sisters of the past, the Hebrews. How is it that there's free will? Is it actually free definitively? Or is it actually a damnation?
Yeah.
A warning of sorts?
Well, I mean, then that falls on to the human conscience, because people say, all right, why would God give us all these opportunities to do all these things and then not direct us or guide us? If he didn't want us to do it, he would stop us.
Right.
And it's like he gave you a conscience. And the conscience for most people, as scripture says, is seared, which basically means that it doesn't activate like a normal conscience would. Free will is something that definitely does exist. The problem becomes if you're a person who believes that God has the final say, that there goes the conflict. Because it's like, all right, how can you give me free will, but then at the same time,
I can't steal a bike and shit.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know what I'm saying? But then I always look at it as, in relation to a parenthood, if a parent gives you the option to make a decision, but you still may make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why would you tell me to do that or have the option to do it, but then you're going to tell me what I did was wrong? That's growth. It's how you grow. It's how you grow to realize who you are as a human being. You make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes. Hopefully you learn from those mistakes.
Which that leads towards repentance. Is there a time limit? And that's why I'm glad there's your side so we can talk about it. You say that there's no time limit. However, then we get global resets.
Right. But the problem becomes is that people don't believe in.
So it's not personal repentance. We're talking about global repentance.
Well,
we all got to get on one accord.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen. In my opinion, that's not going to happen.
So then that would be what causes the reset.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
So again, that's what brought me to the thought of, is free will really a damnation, a mousetrap of sorts, right?
It's funny you say that real quick. No, it's because everything you're saying is people hitting on it. Nobody said, have you heard of the Paradise Rat experiment? The result of that scared me the most. So look what you just said, and he had said this.
Okay.
I've never heard of it. You want to elaborate a little bit, but we are pulling it up as well. But do you want to elaborate a little bit about it? Nomadic Nobody. Is it something that you read in the book, or is it something that you saw? And rat experiment.
I do know how to type for anybody wondering why I'm going so slow. It's because it's off angle.
Well, yeah, and it's normally Bing, so he had to go over to Google.
Yeah. Behavioral sync. Rat utopias. 1960s mouse utopias led to grim predictions for the future. Interesting. That might be a. Let's see if
Something
we
to
can get
look
this. Let's
into.
get a quick synopsis of this.
Hey guys,
What's up,
What's
Nomadic?
going
How
on,
you doing,
brother?
brother? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm in the middle of breakfast.
Oh, is that pho?
No, it's not. No, it's similar to pho.
Okay, all right. I don't know much about pho. I don't eat it, but I see noodles. I always think it's all pho.
Oh, you know what? I did hear about this. I
So
was a
he's
kid.
familiar with this. I'm not, but if you would like to elaborate with your knowledge of what you know about it, that would be great.
Let me get this thing to start hating
So
on
this,
me.
I
Come on,
forget
bro.
the scientist's name. Oops, sorry. But he did this experiment where he had
John Calhoun.
a bunch of mice or rats in a cage, and for I think it was just a couple, like maybe 2 sets or something. And he gave them everything they wanted, food and water and just everything a rat loves. And these rats would multiply, and until they exceeded or they came to the limits of the cage. And eventually, um, he started noticing things that would happen. Um, there's like a set of beautiful mice or whatever, so that these male beautiful mice would refuse to breed with the female mice, and yeah, there's all sorts of steps and things that happen. I can't remember all.
I've got the
The biggest
article, but go ahead.
Sure. So the part that scares me is that is the depopulation. It happened naturally, and he repeated this experiment 25 times, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And each and every time, the population went down to zero. They had everything they wanted. The population grew, and then what? They just got too complacent, too comfortable. There was no more competition. They had no more will to live.
No purpose.
And then it literally went down to zero every single time. And I can see Antonio can read the bullets, but those things are happening, and maybe some of those things are responsible for those. You're saying the reset. I think
Correct.
in science history they call them bottlenecks, right? So one of the bottlenecks was here in Cambodia. We have Angkor Wat, these 1,000-year-old temples, and they had a command over
Angkor Wat's
irrigation
beautiful, too.
and whatnot. But eventually, the population disappeared. What they used of resources, who knows? And so there's this big mystery of why this population disappeared after a while.
So
But yeah, I'll leave you with that.
Okay.
yeah, no,
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up. So I'll read this. It says in 1972, animal behaviorist John Calhoun, which is the scientist that he was speaking of, built a mouse paradise with beautiful buildings and limitless food. He introduced 8 mice to the population. 2 years later, the mice had created their own apocalypse. Here's why. Universe 25 was a giant box designed to be a rodent utopia. The trouble was, this utopia did not have a benevolent creator. John B. Calhoun had designed quite a few mouse environments before he got to the 25th one and didn't expect to be watching a happy story. Divided into main squares and then subdivided into levels with ramps going up to apartments, the place looked great and was always kept stocked with food, but its inhabitants were doomed from the get-go. Universe 25 started out with 8 mice, 4 males, and 4 females. By day 560, the mouse population reached 2,200 and then steadily declined back down to unrecoverable extinction. At the peak population, most mice spent every living second in the company of hundreds of other mice. They gathered in the main squares, waiting to be fed and occasionally attacking each other. Few females carried pregnancies to term, and the ones that did seemed to simply forget about their babies. They'd move half their litter away from danger and forget the rest. Sometimes they'd drop and abandon a baby while they were carrying it. The few secluded spaces housed the population Calhoun called the beautiful ones. generally guarded by one male. The females and few males inside the space didn't breed or fight or do anything but eat and groom and sleep. When the population started declining, the beautiful ones were spared from violence and death, but it completely lost touch with social behaviors, including having sex or caring for their young. Should I continue?
Yeah, please. It's very interesting.
In 1972, with the baby boomers coming of age in an ever more crowded world and reports of riots in the cities, Universe 25 looked like a Malthusian nightmare. It even acquired its own catchy name, the behavioral sink. If starvation didn't kill everyone, people would destroy themselves. The best option was to flee the country or the suburbs where people had space and life with peaceful. They had a typo. The best option was to flee to the country or the suburbs where people had space and life was peaceful and natural. They forgot a comma. Today, I'm a grammar Nazi. Today, the experiment remains frightening. But the nature of the fear has changed. A recent study pointed out the Universe 25 was not, if looked at as a whole, too overcrowded. Pens or apartments at the very end of each hallway had only one entrance and exit, making them easy to guard. This allowed more aggressive territorial males to limit the number of mice in that pen, overcrowding the rest of the world while isolating the few beautiful ones who live there from normal society. Instead of a population problem, one could argue the Universe 25 had a fair distribution problem. The fact remains that it had a problem, and one that eventually led to its destruction. If this behavior is shared by both mice and humans, can we escape Universe 25's fate? And I believe that's the end of that. My cousin, what's going on? That's beautiful.
It's a lot.
The terror of it. I believe that it's provocative, right? So essentially, they were given everything.
But we talked about that. I don't think it was last show. It might have been last show, the show prior to that, where you might have been 3 shows prior to that, where we talked about socialism in a sense. It wasn't fully a conversation about socialism.
We didn't get full into it, but
yeah, we were just talking about, that no community has everything that not everybody has everything in all communities.
At all.
We mentioned the Amish, but see, the Amish are separate from us. The Amish are out there on their own.
Right.
And that's something that I've always said personally. Like, if I could, I'd
get your dog and your sword.
Yeah, man.
I already know.
Lake by a house and just, live off the land. My mom, she's older, but I say, hey, if you can handle it, you can plant and do stuff, It is terrifying.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
terrifying, but it makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, right.
And it's terrifying that it's not terrifying.
Right.
For me.
Right,
The
right,
reality,
right.
that path that we just read about, it's terrifying that it's not terrifying. God damn it, they got you again.
So I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, look, man, sorry about the other side, man. It's just something with Instagram, but
Doesn't like me.
it's terrifying that reality is not really terrifying at all. To me, it is mathematic in a sense. They're given everything, so no one wants to do anything. Why would they? And I didn't want to say it earlier, and I'm not going to put it on the black community, but I think that government subsidization, I think that breeds the same sort of attitude.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why these people, not only do they not know that there's an entire other world out there, but they don't care to go look.
Yeah.
They don't care to seek out other options and see what the rest of the world is doing overall, So then they had the is that Darwinism? The survival of the fittest, right?
That is Darwinism.
So
Aldous Huxley and his brother were Darwinists.
They were Darwinists?
Yeah.
Okay. So survival of the fittest essentially is what happened. The toughest males decided, you know what, we get along enough. You know what I'm saying? Let's get these bad rap bitches in here and, nigga, we not fucking with nobody else in this world. And if they want any of what it is that we've been afforded all together, they gonna have to fight us for it. That's basically what that came down to. And of course, the rest of the world, they got to a point where they didn't even know that these niggas existed up there with, I don't know, whatever kind of food and water they had, but they was up there with all the snacks, the Zuzus and Wham Whams and all of that shit, and none of the rest of the world knew, or their world in that environment,
Wow.
So then they became destructive. They were so full of gluttony and laziness they didn't even want to procreate anymore because they knew that there wasn't enough space. Well, so then let's just enjoy our food, you know. And I would love to actually have seen what led them to the point of, you know, after they all, I don't know, however they decided, or maybe that was bred into them, maybe, where they just started fucking, you know, or procreating less and less. Let me be as correct as possible. They just stopped procreating. Was that due to the conditions of the entire world, or was that just a part of them having everything that they needed and keeping everyone else away from it? Mm-hmm. You know, how was that bred into their lineage? To where now I don't have to do shit, which is what I was saying about these punk ass kids, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
These punk ass kids got access to everything
Of today.
Because I mentor a lot of people, a lot of children, a lot of teenagers, a lot of young adults. They have the entire world in their hands, in their phone. And instead of them seeing this as a huge luxury, as a major apparatus, a tool, they'll do something dumb like, let me get on my phone, on the internet, log into Facebook, and ask Facebook where the nearest Taco Bell is. Because I want to go eat Taco Bell. That makes zero sense. Just like the adults who get online. Who's hiring? What does Walmart have? Does Walmart have anything like this that I like? Y'all niggas can't just get on Google? You don't even have to download an app for Google. It's already on the phone. But that's how lazy we are.
Complacent.
But that's also how blind we are. We don't understand how much of a luxury that these things are. So, you know, whatever it was that was going on in Universe 25, so to speak, I believe that was the equivalent. And that's why me and my cousin, this was about 3 years ago, we had this discussion, but I believe, I don't know if we'll see it in our generation, you know, that we're alive. Or our lifetime, rather. There's a word for that. I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime. But how far away are we from it?
Well, do you think the pandemic was a litmus test? I firmly believe that. Yes.
I think so.
So what do you think is next? What do you think could be the next thing? We've had a pandemic.
They tried monkeypox. That didn't work. Because niggas didn't give a fuck, which I was pretty happy about that. There was another something that was tried. Ebola was before.
Would it be a financial catastrophe, you think?
Because I mean, they're already trying us with the resource.
Yeah.
With the resource thing. Yeah. They're still blaming COVID for not having enough water in the grocery store. You know, for not having enough fruits and vegetables and such. I mean, it's already, you know, I'm heavy into the investors world right now. And the euro just died after the queen died, you know, so to speak. And they're still coming up with what are we gonna do with this? And I know for a fact that Europe, you know, they fully adopted Ripple coin, which is XRP. You know, you can get a taxi and pay with XRP.
Okay.
You know, I'm not sure now. I'll be fair. I don't know exactly how widespread it is there, but it's an accepted currency. So much so that a taxi driver will accept it, that an Uber driver will accept it. Yeah. So that's important. That says something, right? So what does that mean that they're accepting the digital currency of the world? How is access going to be set up? You know, we have it where, and this is just for anybody who doesn't know, I think Binance is the perfect example. You know, the U.S. blocked Binance. So then Binance had to create a Binance.us instead of just the regular Binance.com. I got about 30,000 sitting on Binance.com because I was one of the early adopters, but now I can't get it. I can get it, but I ain't going to do it. It's, you know, setting up a VPN, all that kind of shit. But the typical person here who may have had assets there, they're just asked out. What happens if they forget their login? They don't remember their there's a certain sequence of words and shit that you have to save for a lot of these exchanges and such. You know, how much money was that's just gone? Let's be very clear about that. Gone. The money didn't just fucking disappear. You know what I mean? But
It's funny you mention that because there have been people talking about PayPal and their problems and their issues. Somebody's joining in.
because they're not fast enough. No, that's another question. But
Let's get to it. What
it's
are
a
they
statement, really. She says one world currency and one world government is their goal.
Right, and we know that, and that's also the fear. I can speak on that in regards to. I know at one point they were looking to do a coin in regards to the North American movement. You know, Canada, Mexico, and America. I don't know. Is that something that?
So now they don't have to. And I said this when I first got into, you know, maybe I'm a visionary or I just have really good foresight. When I first got into cryptocurrency back in 2015, I was like, man, at some point, and I was telling everybody, please just invest something now. Put $50 down, nigga, whatever you can. At some point, Walmart's gonna have its own coin. Gas stations will have their own kind of coins, and so forth. So many different currencies. How will they be able to create some sort of actual even exchange rate? There's gonna be one big one that everybody has to answer to, just as with everything else that we're dealing with. You know, but it's just gonna be in the financial world. You know, what about, we're going to make it hard for you guys to make accounts the same way they make it hard for people to vote in certain areas in the U.S. You know, make it where it's not legal to give niggas water somewhere in Georgia, you know, while they're standing in lines to go vote so that niggas don't show up because of how fucking hot it is during the whole, you know. You know what I'm saying? So same kind of deal, you know, you got a ticket. Well, I guess you can't, you know, you can't have access to this kind of currency or this app that, you know, this app is the only place you can get that kind of currency. So maybe now you can't go to Walmart anymore. You got to settle for, or let me say something bigger. You can't go to, the fuck are the good, like like Whole Foods. You can't get into Whole Foods without this kind of coin.
Well,
but you couldn't get the app to buy that kind of coin because you're a nigga with a warrant or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
But doesn't that, you know, as Christians, we fear, but we also know that it's coming. You know, we say the one world government, the one world, you know, financial coin, or moving towards the mark of the beast, which to me is what they're planning on doing in regards to you can't buy nor sell. It's, you know, it's not this actual mark as much as it's a thing of an implant chip or something. Why? More than likely, just like how it was during the pandemic, people will push for that because it's a convenience.
Like everybody was saying, if y'all would just go do it, just stay inside, so we don't have to do this shit no more.
What can we express to our audience on why that's not a great idea? Because I believe it's not a great idea. Like,
just do whatever they say, so that we can all go to Walmart when we want to. I think that's a great way to put it.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Nigga, you can't tell me not to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Why would I want a world like that?
Right.
Can we all just follow what they're saying? Nigga, you know, I want McDonald's, but I can't go right now because they said there's something out there that's gonna get me. If all the rest of y'all would just stay in the house like me, then we'll be good here in a couple months. That's bullshit. Because how long did it last? And it's not because everybody was out. I was outside.
Right.
And I'll tell you right now, damn near nobody was outside. I was all over the place.
Right.
You know. So if more people were listening than not, how dangerous was it really? I speak to that because when I say I was all over the, you know me, I drive every fucking where. Georgia, California, Texas, Idaho, Illinois. You know what I'm saying? I was all over the place. I didn't have to stay inside, and nobody was out. Very very few people were out there with me. So what was it really that was keeping this status on us politically and socially? What was it?
Is that where you feel that people are negating their free will?
Yeah. Which I was going to touch back on that. Glad you asked. So, you know, because then we lead back into if everyone is willing to give up everything because of what they're being told, right? The status of it all. Where's the cutoff? Nobody stood up and said, okay, well, or no one was asking the question, well, if we all do this, then when?
Yeah.
When are we guaranteed?
Hey, how do you think?
If we're gonna submit to a higher power
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah. How do you think people got to that point? What do you think got us to that point? The culture and the minds of people. Was it media or was it just? Aldous Huxley talked a lot about propaganda. He talked a lot about it and how Hitler was
powerful
able to
it
do
is.
what he was able to do. Is it? Do you think it's media or do you think it's just the whole sheep mentality?
It's a part of being human, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of really being an animal. Even in the animal kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
we're a part of the animal kingdom too. But the other part of the animal kingdom that we think we're better than,
Mm-hmm.
they're leaders.
Mm-hmm.
There are leaders. Somebody has to answer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? There's a pecking order in everything in nature.
Mm-hmm.
What makes us any different?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it comes from. It's a part of us,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't a bad thing, unless you submit to something that is not beneficial to you in any way at all.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, you know, I'll say somebody that I know. I won't say who it is, but you know, super intelligent individual. That person is completely okay with just being able to afford their video games and their fast food.
Mm-hmm.
That's good enough for them, and they're one of the smartest people in the world that I know.
Mm-hmm.
More intelligent than I am, more intelligent than you.
Mm-hmm.
This motherfucker reads.
Mm-hmm.
That's the person that got me going to the library. You know, when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
But for him, video games. I can afford my video game habit. I can afford my fast food or whatever I want to cook when it's time. That's good enough for me.
So then, for most humans, you know, you always
They're
hear
content.
me say, "Yeah, the comfort,
Because
the
the
contentment,
independence
yeah.
and the freedom, the free will that we're talking about, it's actually a huge responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hell of a responsibility. It's massive.
Mm-hmm.
How many people actually want to stand up to that? And that's what I was saying before. I think everybody knows. And the term is, if you knew better, you would do better. However, for most people, I think it's, if you know, now you have the option to shy away from it.
Mm-hmm. Thus kicks in the free will.
Yeah, I got to do all of that. Well, I can enjoy my video games and just go to work. So why don't I just go ahead and stick to that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember one of the things my mom used to tell me about some of my my uncles and such when I was a child. You know, or friends that she had who were career criminals. They would go to prison on purpose because they knew for a fact, I'm gonna get 3 hots and a cot at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else going on, I don't give a fuck about because I know at least now I can eat and I got somewhere to sleep.
The struggle's
That's
over.
good enough for
The
me.
struggle's over. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had cats like that in the hood when I grew up as well. Yeah, the struggle's over. They just knew, you know, go this way, walk this way. They knew, you know, the COs would tell them
At
exactly
least I
what
can
they
do
do.
that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Lift weights and, you know. Mm-hmm.
You say it's an insane mindset, but really now we're talking about humans again.
Mm-hmm. The psyche of the human
If it's
being.
that easy to do that, and now I don't have to go to school. All I got to do, I don't even have to really keep my cell clean.
Mm-hmm. Do you think technology was what caused that sense of
That sort of
declination?
mindset. No, I think it's exactly what I just said before, which is we all actually do know what it takes to stand up and be that responsible for self
Mm-hmm.
and all of those that I love. We know what that takes.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't have to do that and all I got to do is go get this, you know, food stamps,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's happy because we're eating, we got enough food stamps. That's good enough for me,
So as always, it goes back to personal accountability.
in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all make up the collective regardless of what it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
We make up the global collective regardless of what it is that we participate in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same as turning a blind eye. I think that the person turning a blind eye to things like child molestation
Mm-hmm.
and then the person saying that they just don't care,
Mm-hmm.
or the people trying to rehabilitate those individuals,
Mm-hmm.
that's 3 or 4 different type of people, but they're all contributing the exact same amount, which is absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
There's no actual solution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, we don't need to figure out why this nigga's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of that nigga. That's my opinion. We have to come up with actual solutions, and I don't think that there are enough actual solutions to our global issues, our global behaviors, and what our global behaviors are contributing to.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm not gonna be no next world dictator or no shit like that, but I'm just saying, you know, I'm looking at these things, and that's why I wanted to ask these questions.
Mm-hmm.
Just what do y'all think?
Yeah, no, I mean that's what Change Your Mind, Change Your Thing is all about just posing these questions and having a perspective and getting people to chime in on their thoughts in regards to the subject matter and the topic. Tonight's topic, if you're just joining in with us, is the global reset, the reset. What does that mean? What is going on with that?
What were humans doing that God or the universe, whichever you subscribe to, reset the world the last time, and how close are we to the next one? Will we see it our lifetime?
So do you believe that the oligarchs are the ones that are chosen by the power to be the ones to usher in?
I think that's us.
Okay.
We're doing that.
Okay.
They couldn't do
by
what,
by
they
our
couldn't do-
complacency.
Yeah, they couldn't do what
Okay.
they were doing unless we were okay with it. There's not enough of us, and this is why I feel I'm able to give such massive generalizations and speak about the global collective.
Mm-hmm.
Because what is it that is actually combating that?
Mm-hmm.
What forces are we seeing? Nigga, you're not making noise. You're good. But what? Thank you for the respect, man. We appreciate it. But what is it that we can identify right now that's at the forefront and say these people are actually making a difference or doing something?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody? What is it that we can identify in this world that is actively making a difference and going up against these things impactfully?
Mm-hmm.
This is a huge force. There's nothing we could do. Those guys are at it.
I think
Look at what they're doing.
They're taught that protesting and voting is the means of power.
Because it's peaceful. It doesn't take anything to vote. It doesn't take anything to go protest. To stand there.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving up the street the other day. There's always some weird ass niggas out there, but they're sitting there with signs at the gas station. Nigga, you blocking off the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a problem with whatever it is that's going on, right here in front of the gas station, where the rest of us have to just get gas because I need to go home or go to work or I got to go to the grocery store to feed my family, nigga, you in my way.
Mm-hmm.
Go get in their way.
Mm-hmm.
The motherfuckers that you actually have the problem with, go get in their way. You're in the rest of our way. We're already having a hard enough time.
It's reminiscent of that.
Your protest is
of that
stupid.
Chinese man with the glasses and the flags in front of the tanks at Tiananmen Square. Yeah, I and I hear you because I just think that I say this a lot, but people are comfortable as long as their family is okay, and
I have an absolute respect for that,
mm-hmm.
because it is hard to stand. I said this before, man. Integrity is hard to stand up to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To say what it is that you will do and actually go do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge fucking responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of bravery.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of nerve
Mm-hmm.
to be someone who is that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me be very clear, because I know I've been, I get passionate when I'm talking, and we've been kind of running for a minute here, but understand, I am never, ever telling anyone what to do.
No, of course not. That's not our objective.
I'm not looking down on anyone for what it is that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a hood rat, just so y'all know. You know what I'm saying? I'm 100% that. So let's be clear, because I understand that there's not much that I can actually do to get this global thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is an opportunity just to give everyone else some extra perspective, additional perspective.
Yeah, each one teach.
That's
one.
all we're doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're thinking about it. We're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
When I have children, if I do, I'll be talking to them about the same things, just to say, be aware of this.
But that's
so
where
that if something arises, you're not caught off guard.
Yeah, I think, but that's where it starts. I think there's been a total disconnect in regards to, once the destruction of the nuclear family happened, then you have people basically passing on what they feel rather than what they know to be so.
100%.
And so it's like, all right, one of those things of figuring out what your belief or your principles are. Are you standing by them because that's what you was taught on television? Or did you read a book and you learn from the book? Or did you learn from that person that experienced it previously? Past generations, especially in the black community, we've lost a lot of our great
historians
grandparents.
anymore.
Yeah. And so now media is able to twist and turn. And there's a thing in media that people are saying mostly, it's false history. You know, they're creating these false narratives and they're switching history just enough and tweaking it just enough to where these images that the kids are seeing, they believe it to be so, because they're not going to go and pick up a book and have a counter argument. They're just going to take in what they're
This is,
seeing.
this, is,
and-
this is what they said we got to do. Let me do it so I can go on about my day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because I saw that recently on somebody's Facebook page. This woman said that nobody said I was smart and wanted to change the world. Then I became wise and I changed myself. Good one, man. Good one.
I agree with that. You know,
Yeah, I can say I was the same
doing
way.
spiritual training recently.
Mm-hmm.
One of my students, and you know, there's someone who is super passionate about giving love back to the world and seeing what it is that we can do to change everybody.
Mm.
What is it that I can do to change everybody?
Mm.
You don't get to change everybody.
Mm-mm.
That's not your place. I told him, I said, you're not for everybody.
Right, of course.
You're just for anybody who's willing to take the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's all you can afford. Anyone. You can't afford the entire world. You, yourself, you're going to afford the whole world yourself. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You just give to anybody who is willing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the maximum power that we have.
Yeah.
Which is why we're sitting, you know, for all we know, we'll be sitting here for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
17, 20, 30 viewers. I'm fine with that because I had the opportunity just to offer more perspective, even if it's only to one person.
And that is a responsibility, in my opinion, because the thing is to each one is attributed a special type of gift, and you know, we are teachers by nature. I think a lot of times people don't want to speak up because of the fear that they're not going to be listened to, but it doesn't matter. I mean, John the Baptist went out there; he was in bearskin and eating honey, screaming out to the masses that was out there by Herod's palace, and the first word that came out of his mouth was repent. You know, a lot of people ain't going to. A lot of people are not going to listen to this show tonight and say, "Hey, you know what? They're right. We need to look into the reset and global reset and what we're going to do to make a difference." And then there may be people who will say, "You know what? Let me look this up some more."
Plenty of people dropped in and dropped right on out. Like, these niggas, you know what I'm saying? And I get that. You know, at this moment, we're not for them.
Right, yeah.
This moment is not for them.
Yeah, I had learned that, especially when studying. It's funny because I'm part of the Facebook self-defense group, and
You gotta
boy,
add me to that, baby. You gotta add me to that.
I will, because there's some good stuff that goes on in there. And you know, when I first started learning true self-defense, because you know everyone believes self-defense is something specific, and that's fine. But when I learned what true self-defense was, I went on this crusade to make sure that I was going to spread it and give it to
Y'all need to feel as safe as I feel right now. You know, I went crazy when I got my yellow belt, and I was like, y'all niggas ain't learning this? I had to teach everybody.
Yeah, but a lot of it also comes from your passion of who you are, because the thing is we seek truth, right? And so here we are, we're telling people about the Great Reset. Some people may have heard of it, some people may not. Like Nomadic Nobody, he's a person that preaches and walks the walk. Like, I know that. That's why I was like, you know, bring him in, because he was, you know, talking about, you know, especially in some forums. If you're watching us and you want to get more into the understanding of it, there's a guy who I actually follow. He has a YouTube channel, and he literally talks. He went to school. This is his story. He went to school to be a philosophy major, but by going into philosophy, he found God. And his name is his sign on YouTube is Days of Noah, DAYZOFNOAH, Days of Noah on YouTube. And I listened. I mean, sometimes his conversations are so deep, and he continuously talks about the current state of affairs. He's mentioned the reset many times, especially once the pandemic hit. He was saying, all right, this was the information I had been telling you guys about for years. And he talks about everything dealing with pop culture, dealing with politics. So he's definitely somebody to speak to and to follow and to get more information on it, because he talks about the oligarchy and he talks about Aldous Huxley a lot, and a lot of the philosophers. I think this guy's read more books than there are available. He's always pushing a new book, and he's always talking about the different resources that he's learned from. So a lot of times I'll listen to him, and actually, he was one of the first people that put me up on Aldous Huxley. Um, not that everything that Aldous Huxley said is correct. You have to know that too. No matter what book or what resource you refer to or you introduce yourself to,
The rest is always up to you.
yes, you have to always back up what you've learned. Somebody's coming.
That's me. So if you hit that and then just tap it,
Yes,
so it'll pin it. That's his thing.
got you. Yes. So yeah, and yeah, absolutely. Let me pin it real quick.
It's pinned. That's
okay,
it.
perfect. Okay. So yeah, so that's just something where, and mind you, this is one of the things that I've learned also because I have several of my Christian brothers in it. If you guys want to come in and talk, please do. But I've learned, as much as I'm who I am with my relationship with God, I don't push it on anyone. And I've learned that, a lot of people walk around and say that they're Christians, but they're really not. There's a lot of false Christians out there in the world, and it all falls onto this thing of like, I'm Christian, you should be too. And it's like, no, as Scripture says, some are prepared for the harvest and some are prepared for the fire. Not everybody's going to be saved, and not everybody is meant to be saved. So
That's that you're not for everybody. You're just for
Yes.
everybody who's willing.
and that's the higher level of respect that I've learned. And so, even if you go and check out Days of Noah, there may be things you agree with and things you don't agree with. There's things you agreeing with us tonight, and there's things that you're not agreeing with us. What I've learned, unfortunately, is those people who have either their conscience seared, or they're that comfortable. They don't want to hear it.
They get dogmatic about what this is good enough for. I don't even. You know what? That, to be fair, it might not even be dogmatism. That might just be, this is good enough for me. Please leave me alone.
And leave them alone. That's what I've learned.
I will turn over in my bed when the wave comes and and washes the town over, whatever. Fine enough for me, and I respect that because I get it. That I prefer those people over people who pretend to pick up, to pick up the sword and go and pretend like they're a part of the journey, and then they fail you when it's actually time. Much prefer the absolute opposite of them, which is, what? I get it. That's not for me. Me and E were actually talking about that last night. That nigga's still weak, but I get his position on. You know what? I'm not a fighter. I'm gonna just shoot this nigga, and if he happens to get away or he hits me first or whatever, at least I didn't have to fight because that's just not for me. That's a level of honesty with self.
Well, yeah. But let me ask you a question. Do you think, because we talk about change, right? And it's the whole concept about she'll change your mind by changing your thinking. If you're changing your thinking, right, and say, for instance, your thinking is, all right, because what I've learned is just like when people who come to me and they say, I don't get revelations, I don't understand it. And I've realized that for a lot of people, it's the fear of the prophetic knowing. Right, which is a higher level
But
to
niggas
me.
also just don't read today.
Well, how do we help those people? How do we help them?
Oh man, we don't. We help the children that we have access to.
Yeah, and that's
respectfully.
Yeah, and that was something.
There's nothing I can do for any adult. I don't give a fuck, man. Look, I've been in the mentor position a majority of my life, even since I was a kid, man. And I didn't realize how valuable that was then. My older cousins, some of them looking up to me, and then going out in the world and being in the military, and my supervisors who were 35 and 40 plus years old, looking up to me, looking to me for answers and these kind of things. It's okay that they don't know what to do. It used to anger me because it was confusing. I'm like, I'm 7. I'm gonna get off my back. How am I supposed to help you? But and this is why I am how I am about my resources and things. I typically don't give a shit because I know in me I'm always gonna go and get more.
Is that something that was taught to you, or is that something
this
that
is
you
just me, man?
Okay.
This was an observation that I've made over time. Is really what I'm getting at. I know that about myself, But just like you said, it takes greatness to recognize greatness. I can't be great if I don't recognize that you're
That's
great.
fair. Right.
I also have to know that if I'm that way about myself and my resources and my drive, that other people
Are capable.
just because they're capable doesn't mean that they're going to do the same
Right.
thing.
How
It's
do you
okay.
deal with that? How do you, honestly.
I'm still learning to
Yeah.
deal with that.
Yeah.
You know that, you know, personally, man, but
Yeah.
I'm still learning to deal with that. Because it's one of those, and Remo spoke about that with me, you know, when I got back from this last trip to California, or second to last trip, you know, where I was stuck out there for a minute, and he rode back with me. You know what I'm saying? When I picked him up, and you know where he's at, came to where we at, and you know that's about a 2.5 hour drive. And I literally just popped up on him, but he was like, "Nigga, I feel you need this."
Yeah, we talked about that.
And we took that ride back, and man, we talking about I ain't slept in days, almost a week. I ain't slept. I came from supporting all of these people that I either love or got love for, and getting here. And I'm 28. I'm just now realizing. And Mario said it that night. He said, "Man, when we finally got back here, at some point during that night, he said, man, none of this shit was ever your responsibility, dude. How are you still doing it?
Right.
Why are you still doing it?
Right.
For all of these people who fucking can't.
Right.
You know? And then if you know anything about me, you know I don't sleep.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me can vouch for that.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
really
got
fucking
that Prince
sleep.
disease, man.
But I finally found the answer to that question that night. Because I didn't get to cry, but it was like a spiritual expression of those tears. Where me and him are sitting there just, you know, we breaking down what we done been through. And the summation of all of that, to answer your question, is I don't sleep because I'm afraid that someday I go to sleep and I won't be able to wake up and help anybody else.
No, that's admirable.
That's a fucked up complex to live with.
But it is admirable.
So I don't know how to deal with it is the answer.
Right. Okay. So this is the thing, because you know we're at our 30 minute mark, and we cannot leave the show without
A solution.
giving people options and opportunities to figure out how to be able. You know, I know we're not in a space to tell people what to do, but
Never.
right now, with the knowledge of what you have and the knowledge of what I have, because my knowledge and your knowledge, they're on the same plane, but they're moving a little different, right? Okay, so how do we get people to prepare themselves for what's coming? I have a friend that we talk all the time, and he's doing everything. He's in the entertainment industry, and he says, all my money is going into buying me some property, some land for me and my family.
Right.
What do you think most people should be focused on? Because I know we're going to have a show talking about finance
and everything.
Yes, probably in a week or two.
Let's make sure we can organize it, because I got some dope people that I would love to see if I can get them in to really speak.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So once we get more info, we'll talk about that.
But no, so what is it that I could tell anyone, man? Not what to do, but just some, not even advice, man. Just
if it were you, what are you focusing on, knowing all of this stuff? And if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Great Reset in regards to where we're headed as a global community in a sense.
That topic was verbatim: what were humans doing that God or the universe, whichever you subscribe to, reset the world the last time, and how close are we in our lifetime to the next reset?
All right, so we're on that part of the question, knowing that how close we are, maybe not,
maybe not. We
right?
don't know.
What are you doing in the sense of, you know?
I'm just
preparing?
loving, man. I got, you know, and I know I ain't supposed to just give away everything that I have for free, man. But that's just a part of who I am, you know. I give, and I don't want it to sound like no hocus pocus bullshit, because it's definitely not. It's not what you may think it is when I say it. I just offer, at the very least, I offer spiritual training. You know, you meet spirits like this young man and see you gonna do something with what I'm giving you, and I know it. So rather than me watch you go and receive from any and everybody who may have nothing but ill will towards you, let me give you everything that I can. That's what I'm doing.
In the moment or just over a period of time?
Any moment. I've been, you know, I be driving everywhere, man. You know, I've had times where I've been on a 12-hour trek, and maybe I stopped at a gas station, and for some reason, this person walks up to me, or they're asking for something, just food or whatever, and I stop and take the time to get him that, and now we're in a conversation, 2 or 3 hours. I've been on the road 12 hours, but this is the rest that I was afforded, and I could have just stepped over. Now, God damn it, somebody's calling. But now, you know, now I have the opportunity to go ahead and get a different type of rest just because I helped somebody. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm back on the road for another 10 hours. That's what I'm doing, man. Any moment like that I can get, and I'm not seeking it out. These things are coming to me. When you stop chasing, you know, whatever it is that you feel that you want in this material world, and start knowing what it is that you need, knowing what it is that's best for you and those around you. You know, am I at that 100% of the time? Hell no. Like I said, I'm a hood right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as much as I can, man. You know that about me.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
More than most people.
I had to, because you're an extremist, I have to always remind you, just like you remind me. For me, it's a thing of just understanding on the spiritual aspect, you know, my relationship with God, and just knowing that, especially through these last couple of years, you know, God has put people in my life and, you know, allowed me to go through things that I just never, you know, I am always quick to admit that the last 2.5 years have been the worst for me for a long time. I've had every touch of what you can have, you know, the infirmities, the loss of family members, financial difficulties, and directional difficulties. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that the compromises that they made during this launch of this reset, you know, and so I say, you know, just get right with God, and whatever comes, but work on making sure there's an out. You know what I mean? Like, I was in LA when the pandemic hit, and I was just like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I went and got a whole shitload of turkey jerky, man, and I got a tent, I got a sleeping bag. I had, you know, of course, I had my machete, I had everything. I was ready, man. You know, because, I mean, listen, I thank God for my mom, man. She did, you know, even though I grew up in Brooklyn in the projects, man, she made sure we went to camp. We went to summer camp, and she would let us stay for like a 2-month trip. The bus would come, and we were like, oh, it ain't time for y'all to go. We got to go back to the cabin. So I learned a lot, and then, you know, I was a Cub Scout, and then I was a Boy Scout, and so I learned a lot about the wilderness. I always had a mind for it. And so I never feel like, you know, I was never terrified of being in the woods, man. So, you know, this whole thing that everything's been created, that this causes us discomfort, I'm good. Like, I've worked to that point. Now, would I be able to say that 10 years ago? No, 10 years ago, man, the things, you know.
So then you're saying that not your advice, but
me personally, what I would do.
The will that you would offer, the perspective that you would offer is just see that there are other ways to survive. You should know those things.
Absolutely. You know, remember you sent me that video of the woman who was a slave. She was she literally lived through slavery and came out of slavery. And they didn't know. She said, we didn't even know we were free. She was one of those people. And she said, we ate everything. We ate everything we could find.
They damn near didn't know they were slaves.
Right. And this is why when people tell me I'm vegan, I'm like, so how did we get this fucking far in the world?
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Luxury.
Like, you know,
I'm not going to eat.
You know, she said we ate worms, we ate the squirrels, we ate the rabbits, we ate the rats, we ate, like the bugs.
I had grandparents and great grandparents who they were still that way. They understood that.
Yeah. She said we ate everything we could find. She said anything we could find, we ate it. And I said to myself, man, you look at all these people talking about something like, especially in LA, I'm a vegan. It's like, well, how you gonna live if this all shut down? Do you know anything about planting, vegetables? You know anything about setting traps?
Eating niggas was eating
Raccoons,
eating
yeah,
opossums,
squirrels,
and-
possum, yeah. They ate what they could
I've
find.
had rabbits too. I ain't had no opossums.
I had
But
rabbit,
My dad used to talk about that.
Possums are nasty. I ain't eating no
I'm
damn
cool with
possum.
possums too.
But
If I had to,
have
goddamn it,
did he teach you to fish? You pretty good at fishing?
I know how. I don't like fishing, but I know how.
You don't like fishing?
No. I almost drowned the first time.
Oh, so it's the water.
Yeah.
We're gonna take care of that. We're supposed to take care of that.
We're gonna get on that.
But you would eat, like I could eat fish every day, all day.
Yeah, I love fish.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And especially here in the South, man, they got turkeys, wild turkeys, man.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. One turkey, and I know how to smoke, the meat and to save the meat. And so, yeah, because people came over my apartment. They were like, what is all of this? I had a little bag ready to go.
In case.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, if I got to get them out real
just
quick.
in case, goddamn.
Get them out real quick. They're just traveling out, run out of gas. I can get out and backpack. And
so basically, maybe not prepare yourself, but don't be oblivious.
You shouldn't be oblivious.
Because to tell someone to prepare might make them
nervous and terrified.
Yeah, they may get a little paranoid, but just don't be oblivious.
Mm-hmm. Which I think most people are, man. And we know it on our our phones is everything.
Mm-hmm.
You ever see people when they can't find? This just happened recently. I was reading an article where the house was on fire, and this father. It was Pink Books. She was talking about it. This father went back to get his daughters, his two twin daughters. They were burning up in the fire. The mother, the grandmother, and the mother came out, and the sister, the grandmama and the sister came out the house because the father and the mother wasn't there. And the sister went back up to get her phone, but didn't get the two little girls. Dad came and got the two little girls. He ran right up in there and got the two little girls. And, of course, they all suffered, second and third degree burns. But he's like, my daughters are alive because
at least she got her phone.
to do. Right. But she got her phone. Right. And then that other incident, why is this important? I'm going to get to in a second. That other incident of those two girls that robbed that man, and they held on to him as they were driving, and he crashed, and he got killed, and they were pulling the girls out the car, and the other girls like, my phone is in there.
It's so fucking insane, dude. Not my life.
Right.
I mean, I'm guilty of something similar, but it wasn't the phone.
Right. But that was more personal. It's not a thing as much as just you see. So that's what I'm saying. It's like to be able to let go. That's what I'm saying. I think we have to personally be able to validate the basic things that help us to live. And maybe it's because we grew up with nothing that we're able to let go easier. Yeah. Because it's nice having those things, man.
I mean, now psychology says, too, there are people who grew up with nothing, so that's why they can't let go of things. So there's always a balance, right? There's always a pendulum. So I'm saying that just to know that there is another side. So we just took a different path. You know what I'm saying? So even for the people who grew up with nothing and can't let go,
or won't let go,
there's something to changing your mind, changing your heart, changing your spirit to allow you to get to a place where the bare minimum is enough. You've already done enough. You have enough. That's a very hard point to drive home to just about anybody, regardless of background.
Yeah, I don't think they realize that the desire to want more, even if you have enough, is what's leading us to the Great Reset, because that's what they're using against us.
Well, we got these electric cars now. Let's see if we can get these motherfuckers to drive us where we want to go without us having to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. I should have brought that up, but actually, I guess we kind of got enough time. But that new Lincoln, which is it's really stupid. I don't know if they're gonna. I'm pretty sure it's just a prototype, but the floor is a TV. You know what I'm saying? It's a video game. The whole front seat, there's a button you push and the whole front seat goes up into the steering wheel because the car drives itself, of course. What year are we in, right? The back of it, the way it moves up is so that you can sit on so you can sit. The back of the chair turns into the front of a chair, and you can sit in it and face the people who are in the back seat. So everybody's facing each other like how in a limo is, but now it's just in a smaller vehicle, right? And the car's driving y'all wherever y'all going. The table, the whole floor is a movie, and niggas can kick back, all of that kind of silly shit. Now, we can laugh and say, well, it's just a prototype, but nigga, the prototypes from the 60s are now a reality. The prototypes from the 20s are now a reality.
Yeah.
And so forth.
Yeah. So
if that's the direction that we're headed,
right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane.
Well, we see it when, drones are delivering things.
Which
right?
I appreciate it, but goddamn, now we taking purpose from humans.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a form of attack on innocence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
A man needs a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
A woman needs a purpose
yeah.
of some sort
Mm-hmm.
to survive in this life.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this world, but in this life.
Mm-hmm.
How can I maintain life?
Mm-hmm.
I need something that matters to me, something to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing that.
Mm. If you're watching us, this is Change Your Mind, Change Your Thinking. We are on Instagram right now at _dosage, DOSAGE, and at Darkon2000. We are on YouTube. If you missed most of this show and would like to catch what we spoke about, you can catch us on YouTube at CMCT _show.
Correct.
And a lot of our other shows are up there. So if you've missed any of the shows and you'd like to catch up with what we got going on.
This is our grand 11th party time.
Man, we are moving on. We are not planning on stopping anytime soon. And we look to you as the audience to give us some
feedback, input.
Yeah, input,
give us topics, things that you would love to hear us speak about or dismantle or even just, dissect.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, Amanda. It's good to. I thought about you the other day, Amanda. So I hope you're doing well. Nomadic Nobody. His words are always very powerful. He says, "Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. It's time for the strong men to stand up." I agree, but people have to know that they're strong first.
Correct.
And that always falls back onto understanding self and self-accountability, as we always say in every show.
The sleeping giant still has to reacclimate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There was something you had said about, I guess it was Aldous Huxley, because I remember him saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he said it here. Nomadic said something about Alan Watts. I've heard of Alan Watts. I know he's a great philosopher as well. It's somebody to look up to.
Okay.
As well. I'm pretty sure we will have a follow-up to this show because there's a lot of information that I definitely want to be able to...
There's so much that went on here, and we only got 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... Hopefully you guys are paying attention to understanding that it is resources out there for you to have more clarity in regards to what we talked about tonight. I'm all spent. I don't have anything else to say. What about you?
Well... just as far as solutions go, if we could be more succinct about those.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is, man, just, show love where you can.
Yeah.
Give love to who you can when you can.
Yeah.
And don't look for anything in return. That's not why you're doing it.
Yeah. I mean...
contribute to the rebalancing, because right now the world is definitely upside down, which is an imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
Just contribute back to the rebalancing of everything.
Yeah.
That's my solution.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus said the greatest thing is love. He said that. He said love, that you love one another. And I think there's definitely a loss of that. I mean, whether he meant his apostles or he meant his followers, he meant it that for those who believe in him will have that in them to love. And I think there's a loss to that. My mom talks about it all the time. She's like, what happened to love? People don't forget how to love one another.
Yeah, just basic appreciation, nigga, pass the doobie. You know what I'm saying? For some people that was once enough for their reality, and there's not even enough of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
people shitting on homeless people.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Life is rough. That's why I was saying about how I am with my resources. I'm always go get more. But what about the people? Yeah, they do have the same existence in this world, but do they have the same determination that I have? Some people just don't have that will. Their
So how do you deal
spirits
with
are
that?
dead.
How do you deal with that? Because I mean, I know how I deal with it.
I'm not running them down. Hey, everybody, here's a bologna sandwich. But you know, man, when I have the opportunity, I take it. Why not?
When is it? Okay, so I think this is what escaped me
Okay.
previously, because this is what I wanted to ask you. When is there a point where you shut it off and say, that's it? Because in scripture it says, Jesus says, dust the dirt off your sandals, dust the sand, dust it off. When you go in and they don't receive it, dust it off and keep stepping. Because we have to be good stewards of what's given to us. You don't cast the pearls before the swine. So personally for yourself, when do you get to a point where you be like, yeah, I'm good?
I've only run out of energy once,
Mm-hmm.
and that was when I was in California.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, you know what happened when I called you from that gas station in the fucking middle of nowhere. Even then, I still kept going.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't run out of that resource yet, that energy.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So-
I'm meaning mostly towards one specific person. Like if you, yeah, you know what I mean? Because
so
I know you do a lot
just
of
dealing with people in general.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can only give so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I understand when somebody's not drinking the water that I led them to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not forcing that.
Right.
Hell no.
Right.
But to stop and say, here you go, you know, I'm not saying let me put you on my back and let's get you back to where you need to be. Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that leads back to what I said. I cannot be for everybody, but I am for anybody who's willing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's that.
I think we should leave it on that because that's great knowledge right there. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you guys, and we look forward to coming in on Thursday night when we will talk pop culture and what's going on in the news. If you've joined us tonight, we greatly value your time because you could be doing anything else, but you're in here tonight talking some knowledge with us and getting a good perspective from Antonio and myself in regards to how to deal with the Great Reset, the global reset. There's a lot of information online for it and some books that are out there. Definitely you want to look up for this stuff to make sure you have at least an idea of how you're going to deal with it once it all comes to pass.
Guys.
Go ahead, brother.
Me, you.
Yeah,
I was
no.
saying, it's that, you know, man, everybody have a good night. Shit, we stopping a little short today, but
Yeah.
you know, we got some kids in this community here to go give back to tomorrow. So
Yeah.
man, I just, you know, everybody have a good night and, you know, sit with your spirit and tend to it. Take care of it.
Absolutely.
You got to take a knee too.
Absolutely. And continue the discussion with others. Like, don't just stop here with us. Because we're talking all the time, man. We're company of kings, man. That's what we do, man. Iron sharpens iron. We're constantly talking about everything.
Everything.
It doesn't. I'm telling you, and there's you never see cats step up and be like, nah, nigga. You know, it's always
just building. Like I said
Yeah.
earlier, you know.
Can you say that again one more time? Say it again. It's what?
Oh shit. Oh, building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Building.
You know what I mean? We you know, opposing realities, maybe based on what we do and do not subscribe to, but the translation in the interaction and the communication is what brings about the balance, and balance is everything. Whatever it is that you're doing, whoever it is that you're interacting with, so you gotta have that.
Gotta have balance.
So, with that being said, you know, we got a long day tomorrow. If there are no more questions, input, anything of that sort, everybody please have a good night, and we'll be back on Thursday with some hood rat shit and America's pop
Fun
culture.
Stuff,
You
stuff
know
that
what I mean?
we don't pay attention to too much, but we talk about it with you guys. So thanks again to everybody that tuned in, everybody that showed us love. Thanks for anyone that's donated so far. We really appreciate it, and we look
100%.
forward to moving on with this and continue to do some great shows.
Likewise.
All right.
All right, y'all. YouTube, we're out, but if you're on Instagram, you know, I always stay on a couple extra minutes and let the music play so we can keep interacting and whatever on our way up out of here. All right, guys. Well, let me get on up out of here. Oh man.
To the smooth, mellow sounds of
That's they call it
Antonio.
fact. I've been on the grind so long, hoes could never call me that. Please keep it short.
Man, that shit.